If you are living in the city, it is possible you may never know the protagonist of this little story. A small active garden bird whose name introduces its looks and ability, the Fantail Flycatcher. This then is a glimpse of a few vital days of their life that, like with me, will surely make you a fan of their tail. Fantails are busy birds with a periodic signature tweet that makes one aware of their presence. Like all flycatchers, they are masters at pursuing flies in the air, twirling in a dance of feathers between trees and above bushes. Voracious feeders, they are active all day and become central personalities amongst a variety of other garden birds they coexist with. Coexist, not get along, for they are quick to chase off other species from their territory, as this dove found out. These harmless lunges, however, do not keep other birds away for long, and maybe the bothered expression of the fantail comes from this hassle. These birds exist in pairs, one of the rare types where male and female are almost alike. Both support each other in territory keeping, feeding, and you will soon see, in expanding their family. One day, the fantails were unusually fussing over inspecting a few branches. This one. No, this one. They guided each other to different limbs of plants till they seemed to find a plant that, though slim, was tall and tucked away enough to please them. And then an exemplary display of teamwork began. For the fantails were building a home. Each bird has a unique style of nesting and is equipped with skills to create the nest. They don't have hands, yet can construct an intricate dwelling of great architecture. Indeed, the lessons nature has can humble anything man has created. The fantail nest involved three things: work hard, flitting about entire days building it; think smart, which was the way they held their nest material together; and finally, double check, which was literally how both partners inspected each portion of the nest after it was done. Hand picked, sorry, big picked pieces of twig with enough bend yet strength were brought one by one. To hold them together was a process of sheer genius. They would fly through cobwebs such that the sticky webbing stayed on their beak and heads, and then smear that head all over the twigs to bind it together. It was in sheer awe that I saw this nest unfold over a week's hard work. Twig, web, weave, inspect, repeat. This process went on till one day it seemed done. The home appeared ready. A cone-shaped structure with not a twig end loose was tightly packed on a slender branch of a slim short plant. Tucked away below a big-leaved Firangipani tree with one side walled by human habitat for safety, the fantails had done the first part of family planning very well. On one morning after the nest seemed fully built, I noticed one of the birds perched on the nest continuously. Until now they had flitted around it, but today was different. The eggs were going to be laid. I kept checking on the nest from a respectful distance to see if there was any change in posture, but that first day there was none. Time passed, much more than I expected, and after a couple of days when I checked again, I found the nest unoccupied. My first thought was, Had they discarded their home? Suddenly, one of the birds appeared back, which announced a happy fact that the eggs were laid, and there were two of them. For over a week from here, the female fantail mostly sat in a nest. The male stayed nearby, flitting about catching his flies, helping look after the nest when the female went to get her food, and both would get very harassed and chase away other birds if they even came near. During this stage, I decided it would be best to leave them alone. Nature, however, had other plans. The same sky that provided the wind beneath the wings of these fantails now spoke up against them. That first night of heavy pre-monsoon rain, the fantail mother sat on her nest, wet, miserable, and challenged to protect her eggs. It was, however, too much rain, and I worried what I would see the next morning. The day after was bright, and the neighborhood was out to celebrate it. Like the Stickles blue flycatcher, which was at its chirpy best, or the squirrels that were picking the berries and fruits that were fallen from the rain. The entire neighborhood was celebrating plenty of water everywhere. Unfortunately, the rains also awakened the curiosity and appetite of other beings that were higher up the food chain. The mongoose is a fierce forager, keenly checking every nook, crevice, and even heights for a snack. However, today he found a rotting jackfruit before the fantail home and stayed busy eating an entire morning. The squirrels hung around the mongoose eating fruit, for they knew the hole he made would give them access to a larger portion once done. Luck was favoring the fantails, and it appeared that soon their family would be fuller. About a week went by, and undisturbed by ill fate or me with my camera, the fantails continued their poise on the perch, till one day there was a flurry of activity at the nest. The mother and father were dancing around their nest, catching flies and racing to and fro, which could mean only one thing: their brood had grown. My first glimpse of the babies were only of their beaks. With the inbuilt instinct for survival, baby birds stay motionless and deep within their nests, emerging only when the parent approaches. The fantail would make clicking sounds while landing with a beak full of insect, and the babies would rush out open-mouthed to welcome them. There were two babies, as the visible beak tips proved, and the fantail parents couldn't be happier, providing them an endless supply of food all day. While the babies had their parents looking out for their food, there were other species who were about hunting their own meal. Snakes are a top threat to bird babies, with a heightened ability to sense their presence and skills to reach the nest easily, whatever the height. For this foraging snake, these babies were going to be easy prey. The shrieking squirrels announced the arrival of the slithery predator, and even these plucky parents could do little but sit anxiously fearing the inevitable. However, the charmed life of the family was to continue, for this particular snake was not keen to forage. Things went back to busy parenthood for the fantails. Birds can hardly be called bird-brained. With no hands, there is so much they bring for each other. Nest material, food, it's all done with so much quantity and quality involved that begs asking the question, are we humans really superior as a species? In all the multiple meals that were fed over the days, there was no payment, no wastage, no delivery agent. It was all done in so much more responsible a way than mankind does today. And in a fraction of time it takes humans to grow up, the babies went from featherless, eyes closed, pink folds of skin to feathered, featured, wide eyed little fantails. It was almost comical to see how two babies with grumpy expressions barely hang in their cone shaped nests. Like an oversized double scoop of ice cream in a narrow cone, the babies perilously swayed on their nests as their parents continued their feeding time. I was wonderstruck at how quickly the babies were this big. In a matter of less than 2 weeks, the fantail babies were looking all set to leave their home and do something that over thousands of years man can never do and never will: fly. And then one day that happened. When I was not looking, the babies had left the nest. Had they been hunted? Did this journey I was allowed to view up close come to a tragic end? I looked everywhere, and neither parents nor the young were to be seen. Would this story end abruptly with the only hope that they had survived and actually left the nest voluntarily? I feared the worst, as I could not imagine how a species could so quickly acquire the maturity to fend for themselves without a safety net of their home. As a human being, it seemed impossible to me. And then there was a call. The distinct call of the parent couple emerged from a cluster of shrubs beyond their tree, and with hopes increased, I started peering into the dense undergrowth looking for some movement. And then I saw them. The babies, both perched on a branch with their parents flitting around, rocking gently as the wind swayed with them, bobbing their heads, listening to their surroundings, and occasionally stretching their tiny but formed wings. The babies were out in the wild getting their life lessons, experiencing food, flight, and freedom, accompanied by the ever watchful parents who continued endlessly supplying food, even as the little ones flitted uncertainly branch to branch. The magic of nature was taking over by providing the best education to these little ones. The nearby bird bath had all sizes and sorts of winged visitors, and the babies studied these co-species of the bird world with an equal mix of caution and wonder. The ever watchful parents were always at hand to chase away unwelcome visitors like the mongoose, while allowing a fellow tickles blue flycatcher to sit nearby. I was able to get many more glimpses as the evening progressed, and watching the little ones, possibly for the last time, felt a twinge of sadness that their journey now would be away from my sight. Watching this family grow, their struggles and survival, made me realize I had seen something beyond what the human world would ever display. The magic guided by the unseen hand. The magic of nature, a true act of God. No gurus peddling wisdom, no deities offering blessing, and yet These small creatures, insignificant to our human world, had so much to display in this little tale of their lives. And of this tale, I am a fan, and I hope by watching this, so are you. The tale of the fantail.